It's July 18th here in Seoul, and I'm Kim Dami. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour, starting with heavy downpours in the Seoul metropolitan area. Torrential downpours are pounding South Korea's capital city and the northern part of Gyeonggi-do province. The government has activated Level 2 emergency operation of the disaster response headquarters as of 7:50 a.m. this morning. South Korea's Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power Company has been chosen as a preferred bidder to build 2 nuclear power units in the Czech Republic that are worth over $17 billion. It's the first time in 15 years that South Korea has secured an overseas nuclear power plant construction project. U.S. stocks were mixed on Wednesday, with the Nasdaq plunging as tech firms faced pressure over worries about U.S. export curbs on China and Donald Trump's stance on Taiwan. The Dow Jones Industrial Average Dow closed at yet another record high. As the monsoon season sweeps the country, the rain has now moved up to the Seoul metropolitan area and Gyeonggi-do province. Seoul City is forecast to see up to 150 millimeters of rain until Friday. Our Kim Jung-sil is on the line for more. Jung-sil, tell us the latest.
Tommy, heavy rain has been falling here in Seoul since last night, and more is expected to fall throughout the week. As you said, the rain is showing trend of moving northward from the southern Gyeongsang and central Chungcheong regions that saw heavy rain last week. Now, more on the rain in the capital. As of 7:20 a.m. this morning, the Korea Meteorological Administration has raised the heavy warning advisory to a heavy rain warning that is a higher level across Seoul and and just half an hour ago, the KMA announced a heavy rain warning for Incheon, most of Gyeonggi-do province, northern Gangwon-do province, and northern Chungcheongnam-do province. The KMA said 30 to 60 millimeters per hour of rain is being detected in these regions, and the Korea Forest Service has raised the alert level for landslides in these regions to the highest level as well. The government's Central Disaster and Safety Countermeasures headquarters has entered level 2 over the weather as well. And that is the second highest level out of the level 3. A heavy rain advisory has been issued for the rest of the Gyeonggi-do, Gangwon-do, and Chungcheongnam-do provinces, as well as southern Jeollabuk-do province. Weather officials also forecast that the central region, including Gangwon-do province and mountainous areas, will see up to 70 millimeters per hour of very heavy rain. The far southern Jeolla regions will see 20 to 30 millimeters of rain throughout the afternoon. The KMA called for extra precautions due to the pouring rain in already soaked regions.
Right. Anyone near streams or rivers must steer clear of them. And Jung-sil, tell us what's going on near the Gunnam-dae, near the inter-Korean border.
Absolutely. Heavy rain has poured throughout the night near the Gunnam Dam in the border county of Yeoncheon-gun, Gyeonggi-do province. As of this morning, the water level of the Gunnam Dam is 31.92 meters, just 8 meters short of limit level of 40 meters. The Situation Center at the Gunnam Dam has opened 12 of its 13 floodgates to increase water discharge as the water level rises. The center has been monitoring the dam's water level overnight on an emergency basis, and the water level at the Gunnam Dam is especially important due to a tragic incident that occurred back in 2009. North Korea opened the floodgates of its Hwanggang Dam without prior warning, killing 6 people in the south who were camping near the river. North Korea's Hwanggang Dam and the South Korea's Gunnam Dam both are connected by the Imjingang River. There have been recurring signs of North Korea releasing water from its border dam early this morning. The Environment Ministry said it let the local governments and the military know that there have been signs of North Korea discharging water from the Hwanggang Dam based on high-resolution satellite imagery at 3 a.m. in the border area. It's possible that Pyongyang is releasing water without giving Seoul prior notice. That's all I have for now, but I'll give you more updates in the later newscast. Back to you, Tammy.
All right, that was our Kim Jung-sil reporting live. Moving on, South Korea looks close to inching a deal with the Czech Republic to build 2 nuclear power units in the Central European country, as a consortium led by KHNP was selected as the preferred candidate for the project. Our Oh Seong has the details.
South Korea's state-run power giant has been named the preferred bidder to build at least 2 nuclear plants in the Czech Republic, marking a major feat for the country's budding export industry and President Yoon Suk-yeol's sales diplomacy. Czech Prime Minister Petr Fiala said Wednesday that a South Korean consortium led by Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power won the hotly contested tender to build reactors at the Dukovany power plant, beating France's EDF in all criteria assessed. Fiala said 2 more reactors could be built at the Temelin plant. South Korea's presidential office expressed gratitude for Prague's decision in a briefing Wednesday evening.
This makes KHNP the preferred bidder for the construction of 2 Dukovany nuclear reactors, and if the Czech government decides to proceed with the construction of 2 Temelin reactors, KHNP will also be the preferred bidder. This comes 15 years after winning the country's bid to build the UAE's Barakah nuclear power plant in 2009, and it will be the foundation for our exports to Europe, the origin of commercial reactors.
The 2 new 1,200 megawatt units will cost about $8.6 billion each, according to the Czech government, with the final deal signed by March next year. Seoul attributed the success to the solid trust between the two sides, built over 34 years of diplomatic relations, and public-private cooperation between businesses, industry workers, government officials and citizens involved in Team Korea's bid, offering low construction costs, top safety and technological standards, to deliver completion on time within budget, as shown by the Barakah nuclear project in the United Arab Emirates. Since his inauguration in 2022, President Yoon Suk-yeol has actively promoted South Korea's nuclear power exports, holding more than 150 summits with 100 leaders of government. His office noted that he'd met the Czech Prime Minister on 3 occasions, including in Washington, D.C. last week, and even sent a letter presenting a vision for bilateral cooperation in nuclear energy. The Czech Republic aims to phase out coal by 2033 and increase its energy security by expanding nuclear power production. KHNP's APR 1000 reactor can produce around 1.2 times the annual power consumption in Prague, according to Seoul's Trade Ministry. A presidential official said Seoul hopes that securing its bid to work on the Czech Republic's plants will lead to more opportunities in the European market, boosting investment and employment in South Korea's nuclear power ecosystem. Usyang, Arirang News.
As training hospitals across the country have begun processing the resignation of trainee doctors who walked out in February, around 10,000 junior doctors will have left the hospitals. The government now plans to receive applications from hospitals to fill the shortage of trainee doctors, with recruitment scheduled for the second half of the year. Our Lee Seung-ja zooms in.
This past Monday was the deadline for trainee doctors to respond to whether or not they'll return to work after months of collective action in response to the government's medical school admissions quota hike. Training hospitals were told to process the resignations of junior doctors who refuse to return or don't respond by Monday's deadline. According to the Ministry of Health and Welfare, the resignation rate of trainee doctors at 211 training hospitals nationwide stood at 12.4% as of Tuesday. As of the same day, the resignation rate at the so-called Big Five hospitals in Seoul was even higher at 38.1%. Those numbers are set to jump significantly throughout the week as resignations continue to be processed. Once all the resignations are processed, it's expected that some 10,000 junior doctors will have officially quit, leaving a massive vacuum in the country's medical system. To fill the shortage of doctors due to the mass resignations, the government will communicate with hospitals to determine recruitment needs for the second half of the year. The government will begin accepting applications next Monday, with the number of new hires to be announced in September. While the government hopes to persuade the trainee doctors who have quit to return through the second half of recruitment, representatives at the Korean Intern Resident Association aren't looking to cooperate, instead warning of legal action against hospital directors for processing resignations. Medical professors are also slamming the training hospitals, arguing that they should not unilaterally decide on the processing of the resignation, but should have gone through sufficient discussion with the trainee doctors. The government on Thursday will hold a meeting chaired by Second Vice Health Minister Bang Min-soo and is expected to announce the number of vacancies at each hospital while continuing with its plans for recruitment for the second half of the year. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
The Republican National Convention is in full swing in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Donald Trump is pushing through his schedule with a bandage on his ear. Let's turn to VOA correspondent Chris Keskoe for more. Welcome back, Chris.
Good to be with you.
So Trump is out in the field carrying out his schedule as planned at the RNC. Give us the latest, and what can we look forward to on the final day on Thursday?
Right, Republicans have focused on Democratic President Joe Biden's handling of the ongoing crises in Europe and the Middle East. Former Trump administration officials have taken the stage to outline what foreign policy would look like in a second Trump term. And Ohio Senator J.D. Vance is expected to accept the party's nomination for vice president. Despite his celebrity after publishing his memoir called The Hillbilly Elegy, the 39-year-old Vance is a relative unknown to many of the party officials here in Milwaukee, and even to many of the top Republicans. He'll get the chance to address the national audience in just a couple of hours. Expect to hear a speech that includes his family, his wife Usha, their 3 children, and his endorsement of Trump's policies, which on some issues he's to the right of Donald Trump, so there really is no ideological balance on the ticket. They're both pretty right-wing on a lot of positions, including abortion. Vance beat out North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum and Senator Marco Rubio of Florida to be Trump's running mate. He has developed a strong rapport with the former president over the years, even after he was a strong critic of him before he got elected to the Senate. They speak on the phone regularly, and Trump has even complimented Vance's beard, saying he looks like a young Abraham Lincoln. Now, as for Trump, he will officially accept the GOP nomination Thursday night, and he has said that his speech will seek to unify the country, and he had changed it from its more harsh tone that he was planning to give.
Right, Chris, and it's been 4 days since the assassination attempt on Trump last Saturday. How are people in the U.S. reacting to the recent assassination attempt?
Right, delegates and spectators in Milwaukee have started sporting bulky ear bandages to copy Donald Trump and show their support for him. He made waves on Monday when he appeared at the RNC with the bandage over his right ear. As you know, 2 days earlier, he survived an assassination attempt at a rally in Pennsylvania that left him mostly unharmed, but he has that gash to his ear caused by the near-miss bullet. Now, minutes after the shooting, Chinese e-commerce sites were selling T-shirts of Trump raising his fist moments after the shots were fired. But by Tuesday, almost all the listings had been removed, and while it's unclear they were taken down, a business school professor, Jinmin Wang, said the shooting was politically sensitive and may have prompted action by Chinese authorities who routinely censor these sorts of things.
Well, then you have to tell us who's actually ahead in the latest polls. I mean, is there any dramatic change in the numbers after the assassination attempt on Trump?
Not really. Trump is leading in 7 battleground states, 6 of which President Biden won in 2020. Now, the positive news for Democrats in this Times YouGov poll is the performance of their Senate candidates in these same battleground states. There are Senate races in Arizona, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin this year. In each state, a Democrat holds the seat now. 2 are open races, and 3 are seats being defended by incumbent Democrats. And in each state, the Democratic candidate is running ahead of Biden while leading their Republican opponent by a margin of at least 7 points.
So no dramatic change in the latest polls on Biden or Trump. Now, are calls on Biden to drop out of the race still growing? I mean, is the move to oust Biden dying out now?
It had calmed down for a few days, but it's not dying out. And we should tell you that President Biden, just in the last hour or two, has been positive for COVID, and he's reporting mild symptoms. So he's headed back to Delaware to rest and recuperate for a few days. But this could not come at a worse time for Biden. Nearly 2/3 of Democrats say he should withdraw from the presidential race and let his party nominate a different candidate, according to a new poll, which sharply undercuts his post-debate claim that average Democrats are still with him, even if some big names are turning on him. Well, today, another big name turned on him, Representative Adam Schiff from California, who is running for the Senate in that state against former Major League Baseball player Steve Garvey. He is the latest to call on Biden to step down. And so far, 21 Democratic lawmakers have called on Biden to step down, including former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and outside the realm of politics, George Clooney, who had hosted a fundraiser for Biden 3.5 weeks ago, wrote an op-ed to the New York Times that was published last Thursday calling for him to step down.
So Biden still insisting to stick to his plans and finish the race. But Chris, what would happen if he, changes his mind?
Well, it's important to note that this has to be Biden's choice. He has to make the choice, and at that point, he would release the delegates that he's won so far in the primary process. Now, Elaine Kamarck from the Brookings Institution is a former member of the DNC Rules Committee. She said candidates who would want to run would visit states and visit state delegations. They'd pay a lot of attention to big state delegations like California, New York, and Texas, and they would probably engage in debate, going through what is sort of a mini primary process before the Democratic National Convention next month. Now, if there's only one person and Joe Biden got out and said, I endorse my vice president, for example, Kamala Harris, and no one challenged her, well, then there would not be a contested convention. So it really would simplify the process if the Democrats, should they, decide to move, should Biden decide to get out of the race, it would be a much simpler process if they settled on one person. And a lot of people in the Democratic Party think it just makes the most sense to settle on the vice president, Kamala Harris, if Biden decides to drop out. But that's a big if, because he said that he intends to stay in the race. But, we'll have to see how it plays out over the next couple of days. He's going to be off the campaign trail recuperating from COVID.
Definitely. That is a big if, but let's see how he pushes through with being infected with COVID-19. Chris, thanks for your report today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
A mixed day on Wall Street on Wednesday as the tech-heavy Nasdaq plunged nearly 3%, while the Dow Jones hit another record high. With major semiconductor stocks seeing massive sell-offs, the Nasdaq fell 2.77% or 512.41 points to record its largest single-day drop in 19 months. AI semiconductor giant Nvidia fell more than 6%, while AMD dropped more than 10% on the day. The sell-offs come amid reports that the U.S. is considering strengthening semiconductor export regulations against China, heightening investor concerns. Now, on the other hand, the Dow Jones jumped more than 243 points, or 0.59%, to close Wednesday's trading session at 41,198.08. This marks the first time the index has surpassed the 41,000 mark. As the Paris Olympics countdown begins, all eyes are fixed on South Korea's dominant archery team, given their strong presence in the sport. Our Ian Hee brings more.
At the heart of Paris lies the sprawling green lawns of Esplanade des Invalides. This is where South Korean archers will be aiming for gold at this year's Paris Olympics. Kim Woo-jin, Kim Jae-deok, and Lee Woo-seok in the men's recurve, and Im Si-hyun, Chun Hoon-young, and Nam Soo-hyun in the women's recurve, who will be making their Olympic debuts.
For us, this is our first Olympics, and we've put in extra effort to get good results. We've worked diligently, hoping that our efforts can lead to a successful outcome.
The South Korean archery team has created an unparalleled legacy by clinching at least one gold at every Summer Olympics since 1984. After winning 4 gold medals at the Tokyo Olympics out of the 5 events, Team Korea's goal this time is to secure at least 3. The spotlight is on the women's team competition, striving for their 10th consecutive gold medal. One thing that makes South Korean archery so strong is known to be their thorough training regimes, which incorporate advanced techniques and training with robots. Competing against these emotionally neutral robots is to strengthen the athlete's psychological resilience. The archers also trained in simulated settings, such as football stadiums with large crowds and under different weather conditions. Now it's almost time for their hard work to pay off. and they'll have the backing of their nation.
To our athletes, instead of dwelling too much on the medals, I believe valuing the process and hard work is more important. I hope you give your all and enjoy the journey. Go Team South Korea!
I hope all the athletes' hard work pays off. Good luck.
With their exceptional skill and unwavering support from their fellow citizens, archers for Team Korea are poised to write yet another chapter in Olympic history.
I hope this Olympics becomes a venue where people worldwide can connect and share moments of joy and sorrow together.
이은희, Arirang News.
Good morning, I'm Kim Seung and this is The World Now. North Korea expert and former CIA analyst Sumi Terry has been indicted in the US on charges of working as an unregistered agent of the South Korean government. Terry, who was indicted Wednesday by a New York grand jury on charges of acting as a spy for South Korea in exchange for luxury goods, Michelin star meals and more, was released on a $500,000 bail on the same day. Federal prosecutors in New York charged Terry for failing to register under the U.S. Federal Foreign Agents Registration Act, saying that she did not register despite engaging in extensive activities for and in the direction of South Korean government. While the U.S. State Department said it will not interfere with ongoing cases, it stated that it supports the Department of Justice's decision. Last year, Sumi Terry produced a documentary film titled Beyond Utopia about female North Korean defectors, which was nominated for an Emmy Award on Wednesday evening local time. Protesters against government job reforms in Bangladesh clashed again with the police on Wednesday after violence left 6 dead and many injured the day before. Police fired rubber bullets and tear gas to disperse protesters demonstrating against a quota which reserves 30% of public sector jobs for family members of fighters from the 1971 War of Independence from Pakistan. Local media reported that dozens were injured, including at least six journalists, as authorities deployed units of the paramilitary Border Guard Force alongside the riot police. Protesters outside Dhaka University chanted, "We will not let our brothers' blood go in vain." The public sector job quotas have especially angered younger Bangladeshis, with nearly 32 million of them neither in work nor education. Rare images of members of an uncontacted indigenous tribe in the Peruvian Amazon forest were published on Tuesday. The images show dozens of Mashco Piro people on the banks of a river close to logging sites. Survival International said that the photographs were taken at the end of June on the riverbanks of the Madre de Dios region in the southeast Peru near the border with Brazil. Several logging companies hold timber concessions in the area, and one company, Canales Tahuamanu, has reportedly built over 200 kilometers of roads for logging operations. Local indigenous rights group FENAMAD said that the reclusive Mashco Piro tribe, one of the world's most hidden, has been sighted coming out of the rainforest more often to relocate further away from loggers and find food. A fossil of a towering Stegosaurus dinosaur, standing 3.35 meters tall and over 6 meters in length, sold at Sotheby's, New York for $44.6 million on Wednesday, making it the most valuable fossil ever sold at an auction. The sale was also the first time an auction house has been involved in bringing a dinosaur fossil specimen directly to a market from its discovery, as Sotheby closely collaborated with renowned commercial paleontologist Jason Cooper to document the entire process from excavation and restoration to mounting. Stegosaurus lived on the Earth some 150 million years ago during the Jurassic period and are known for their distinctive dermal armor that covers their neck to tail. The Stegosaurus fossil, named Apex, is the largest and most complete set ever to be found.
Good morning. The season's heaviest downpours have been pounding down on the capital area since overnight, dropping 40 to 70 millimeters an hour of heavy rain. Northern parts of Gyeonggi-do were hit the hardest, receiving more than 600 millimeters of showers since yesterday. And rain is forecast to pick up through the mid-afternoon in central regions. And until tomorrow, the capital area and northern parts of Gyeonggi-do could see more than 180 millimeters of rainfall. In Jeollabuk-do province could see 150 millimeters. So heavy rain alerts are in place for west of central regions. It will rain down harder in central areas today. In southern provinces, we'll also see 20 to 30 millimeters an hour of heavy rain. Please stay safe. Jeju and Busan, however, will have a rain-free day. A heat wave warning is in place in the east of Jeju with an expected high of 33 degrees Celsius. With that in mind, let's take a look at the international weather conditions.
We thank you for watching New Day at Arirang. Arirang News will be back at noon Korea time.